says, before they, Joseph and Mary, came together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit, and that which is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. Luke tells us that the explanation given to Mary when she asks of the angel, how is this going to happen? How am I, a virgin, going to have a child? The explanation given to her is the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore the child to be born will be called holy. So right from the beginning, we have the Holy Spirit involved in Jesus coming here. The Holy Spirit is intimately involved with Jesus coming here to do what he came to do. If you fast forward about 30 years to the beginning of his earthly public ministry, all four Gospels record the account of Jesus' baptism. They all tell us that Jesus was baptized, that he was taken under the water, and that he was brought back up, and when he comes back up, that the Holy Spirit descended on him in the form of a dove, and that the Father speaks that famous blessing, "This is my Son with whom I am well pleased." So at Jesus' baptism, the Spirit comes down upon him, and John says it this way, that the Spirit descended on him and remained. That's very important. The Spirit descended on him and it stayed with him, because in most of the Gospels, the very next verse says, and then the Spirit led him into the wilderness. For what? To be tempted by the devil. So the Spirit comes and descends on Jesus, and it remains with him, and immediately it leads him somewhere. Somewhere nice and pleasant and where he can be emotionless and unmoved. No, to the wilderness where he will starve for 40 days and then be tempted by the devil himself. But we don't want to go there mentally. I don't think we want to go there, because to go there means that we have to recognize that sometimes our difficulties, sometimes our trials, sometimes the hard things in life, we were led there by God. That God's taking us there. What does Psalm 23 say? That even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the Lord is with me. His rod and his staff, they comfort me. He leads us through the valley. And what's on the other side of the valley? A feast prepared for us and him in front of our enemies. That he leads us through trial. He takes us to the valley, leads us through it, and then brings us to victory. But we don't want to go there because we don't want to go through the trial and the trouble, and we feel like somehow because now we're Christians, we shouldn't have to deal with that. I kind of feel like if Jesus had to deal with it, we might have to deal with it. I kind of feel like if the Holy Spirit led Jesus there, he just might lead us there sometimes. And I think we have to come to grips with that. We have to come to grips with the fact that doing what we're trying to do here is going to be harder than you thought it was going to be. Becoming like Jesus, being discipled, being led into holiness and joy and peace and these things that we're after, being led there is more difficult than you ever thought it was going to be. But it's also more joyful. It's also more peaceful. It's also more of all those things that we're looking for. It's just sometimes he leads us through where we didn't want to go. Sorry, I didn't mean to spend so much time there. Sorry. There we go.